What is up? It is Big Chart Trades back with another video. And in this video, I'm going to be giving you guys a complete trade breakdown. Today's trade was a little bit confusing. I made $1,200 in around 3 minutes. So I'm just going to break this trade down and give you guys a full overview. This was a continuation trade. It was in fact I was not trading the manipulation. I was just trading the continuation. So I feel like it's very important to document this trade specifically, just so you guys can see how, if this does happen, we dumped right at open. There was no upper wick put in. And since we dumped so aggressively, I didn't really think that price would put in an upper wick. I decided to take a continuation entry. That's what today was. So let me just break it down for you. So as you can see at the 10 a.m. open, we were just straight dumping. The only PD ray around at that time was this fair value gap right here. Obviously this one above, but we were, this range is, I want to say, let me see. This range was, 213 points. So in no way did I think that we would come up and put in a top wave. So let me drop down to the 1 minute. Why am I executing on the 1 minute? Because this is a 15-minute fair value gap, okay? And on a 15-minute fair value gap, we drop down to the 1 minute to execute. If this was an hourly fair value gap, we'd drop down to a 5 minute. But if you know me, if you know how I trade, you know that I'm looking for 3 confluences whenever I take a trade, right? I'm looking for a liquidity sweep, I'm looking for SMT with ES, and I'm looking for a change in state of delivery. Now, if you see NQ right here, right, these are my executions, just so you see. If you see NQ right here, you'd see that, how did you take this trade, right? The change in state of delivery is all the way down here, right? How did you get an entry? Well, that's where just some knowledge comes into play. So on ES, as you can see, we put in lots of bearish SMT at this high. You see, this is the same fair value gap. NQ didn't even pull into this fair value gap, right? ES did, okay? And then next thing we look for is a liquidity sweep, right? So we have the SMT, we have this liquidity sweep right here. As you can see, these candles swept highs. So a change in state of delivery would be a candle closure below this green candle that swept highs, okay? So we get that obviously right here. But Charlie, why did you take this trade on the NASDAQ if we had all these confluences on ES? Well, if you don't know, the NASDAQ and the S&P are correlated, right? They're correlated assets. That's why SMT is always within the NASDAQ and ES, right? You can also use the Dow, but I choose ES and the NASDAQ because they're way more highly traded than the Dow. So we had this SMT at these highs. Okay, we had this change in state, and my entry simply took place when we had this change in state. You see my entry is on that same candle, okay? This was the change in state. So this was my entry. My entry was right at 21,134. Okay, this was a continuation. We bounced on ES. We bounced out of this 15-minute gap. We had that change in state on ES. The change in state was all the way down here on the NASDAQ. I decided to enter on this change in state right here on ES because I just wanted an entry up here. If we change a state and we pulled into this 15-minute gap on ES, we're probably going to dump on the NASDAQ as well, just because, we have all the confluences present on ES. So my final TP was originally this level right here. This 4-hour low was my initial final TP. But, I was like, okay, it's bad PA. It's still good RR. I'm just going to use this resting sell side liquidity. So this was the trade entered at, let's hover over this so I can show you the RR, 21,134, 21,134. Let me just, okay, I can't quite do it, but stop was at this high. TP was right here. And as you can see, happened fairly quickly. It was like a 3-minute trade, 4-minute trade, right? Nice, 66.25 points. But this is my trade, fully breakdown. So I completely used ES to frame this trade, and it paid off. I was willing to put on the risk. I was bearish. We were super bearish. I wanted a continuation. This was a nice internal range to external range liquidity trade. It ended up actually hitting my final TP down here. I just sold here at this resting sell side liquidity level. But yeah, this is exactly how I traded. As you see, like this is a little bit different than how I usually execute, right? I'd usually like to see all of these confluences present on the indice that I'm trading. But you know, in this scenario, the PA wasn't great and we just dumped. So I was fairly confident in this setup. And also, if you know me, if you know I trade the 4-hour PO3, I'd usually like to take a bullish trade here to put in an upper wick. But since we have all this selling pressure, right? We're so bearish and we have this gap right here, you know, I wasn't really confident that price would come up and take this top wick. So this was my trade from today. And it was like 66 points, $1,200. I'm going to post a recap on TikTok as well. Posted one on Twitter. But if you want to learn more about my strategy, you can watch the YouTube videos on my channel and subscribe, like, and leave a comment letting me know if you learned from this. But hopefully this helped. Have a great day.